August might be one of the craziest sneaker release months of all time. This is Sit or Sell. Quick, this is your last chance to enter the giveaway for the White Cement Air Jordan 4s and the Elgato 4KX. If you guys want to grab the fourth core badge, the fourth and final core badge, make sure to click the link at the top of the description below. But diving into things, on August 1st, we've got the Grade School Air Jordan 4 Pizza. This release is inspired by pizza, as you could guess from the name of the shoe. It features a leather upper, it's got a suede mud guard, and a black heel tab. It's basically a tan, red, and black pair of Air Jordan 4s that only comes in grade school sizing. Of course, again, inspired by pizza. And what I like about this shoe is that even though it's obvious what the inspiration is when you know the name of the sneaker, it's not overtly pizza themed. Like, yes, if you know the name of the shoe is pizza, you can see the crust, you can see the sauce and things like that. The black is, I don't know where the black comes from, but either way, I like that it doesn't have like pepperoni on it or like weird toppings or something that would make it too like out there. I really like that they kept it simple, they kept it clean. It's got a leather upper and tan, it's got suede on the toe, of course it's got black accents, and overall it's a very clean grade school colorway. And again, that playful inspiration's fun. I think kids will love that. For a retail price of $160, at least for the larger sizes, it's not cheap. In my opinion, as clean as this shoe is, I just don't see this shoe selling out, so I'm gonna give this shoe a sit. Rounding off August 1st, we've got the Nike Kobe 9 EM. I believe the EM stands for engineered mesh. I could be wrong about that. Let me know if I am in the comment section down below. I'm sure you guys are already on it. But either way, it's a white Kobe 9. It features carbon fiber on the heel in two different areas in black, which is a really nice contrast. And then you've also got this very clean purple Nike swoosh. Because we've been getting so many limited Kobes recently, like the Dodgers and the WNBAs, the fact that they're 6s and very limited and very difficult to get, I don't know if this Kobe 9 is gonna be that incredibly popular. I do think people will grab it, especially over the 9 highs, which are very difficult to wear, but I don't think people who are just trying to rock it casually are that interested in it. I think this is probably more a pair of sneakers that someone's gonna grab if they're planning to go to their local rec center and play some ball. Either way, if you're grabbing it for casual wear or to play ball in, it's $190, so it's not super cheap, but it's a clean looking pair of Kobes, and as clean as it is, I don't think it's gonna sell out. I think it'll sell well, but it's not gonna sell out. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Moving on to August 2nd, we've got the Above the Clouds collaboration with ASICS on the Gel Quantum 360i. So the ASICS Gel Quantum 360i first debuted in 2015, and since then it's kind of been in the vault. It's definitely a sportier sneaker. It doesn't have that sort of 2000s running sneaker aesthetic, although it does kind of have that DNA because that's sort of the whole aesthetic of ASICS. That being said, it's still an interesting, almost futuristic looking pair of shoes. I believe the two colorways that are dropping as part of this collaboration are a green and black pair and a tan and red pair, and both pairs are totally fine. Is it something that I'm that excited about? Not really. I like the way the sneaker looks. I'm not familiar with Above the Clouds whatsoever, so I don't really know anything about the collaborator, so that's another reason why I'm not that hype on the shoe. And it also retails for $210, so it's not cheap. And to be honest with you, I would guess that this shoe's probably gonna sit. Maybe there's something I don't know about Above the Clouds, or maybe there's something I don't know about the silhouette that makes it a lot more hype than I think that it is. But regardless, this shoe drops on August 2nd for $210, and in my opinion, I think it's gonna sit. Also dropping on the 2nd, we've got the Air Jordan 10 Steel. So while this is sort of a retro of the Air Jordan 10 Steel, which we actually haven't had a pair of since I think 2015, is that right? But either way, this shoe is actually very different than the last release of the shoe, and it's the first time that we've gotten this variant of the shoe retro. As you can see, the shoe features the toe cap detail, which even Michael Jordan himself didn't like and requested was taken off subsequent releases of the shoe. In fact, there was like a first run of this sneaker that came with a toe cap back in 1994 when this shoe first dropped, and Michael hated it so much he asked him to remove it, so they dropped the first limited run of the shoe with the toe cap, and then the remaining pairs that were produced didn't have the toe cap. So it's actually this sort of really interesting wrinkle in sneaker history that a lot of people don't know about, because the Air Jordan 10 mostly didn't come with a toe cap. I would say like 99.9% of the releases didn't come with a toe cap. It was really just the first few pairs of the first two colorways to drop, the steels and the shadows. So it's a very, very rare variant of the shoe, and a lot of people think it doesn't look as good. And I actually agree with them. I agree with Michael. I think it looks better without the toe cap. That being said, this 2025 release is the first time that we're getting this toe cap back. It's a really cool callback to the history of the shoe, and I do think it kind of makes this a reimagined version of the shoe, although they're not really calling it that. And as much as it's kind of a weird detail, from a distance, you can't even really see it. In my review of the shoe, which by the way, you should check out if you haven't yet, there'll be a link somewhere on your screen. Because this shoe is bright white, the light washes it out a lot, so you barely even can see the toe cap. You barely even know it's there. So I don't think it should dissuade you from buying this shoe. Maybe the $215 price point will, but hopefully not the toe cap, because I just don't think it really ruins the aesthetic of the shoe, and when you're wearing it, I don't know, you don't even really see it. That being said, let me know in the comment section down below if you would buy this shoe with the toe cap, and also if you plan to grab a pair of these for yourself. In my opinion, because so many OG Air Jordan sneakers have been selling out this year, like the Aqua 8s, even the reimagined 5, the metallic 5s, All of those shoes have sold out. The grapes, they're still kind of sitting, but generally they're sold out. I wouldn't be surprised if this shoe ended up selling out as well. I don't know 100%. I would guess that they probably will sell out. It might not be instant, but I think they'll definitely sell out, at least on the sneakers app. So because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sell. Then rounding off the second, we've got one of the biggest and most hyped up sneaker releases of the entire year by far, and that's the Undefeated Air Jordan 4s. This retro, or I guess re-release, it's not exactly the same shoe, and we'll talk about that in a second, is the first time that one of the most hyped up and most coveted sneakers of all time has ever returned. The first release of Undefeated 4s was back in 2005. The Undefeated 4 is actually the first time that Jordan Brand collaborated with another brand on a pair of Jordans. It's the first Jordan collaboration outside of like Michael collaborating with Nike. Michael Jordan, that is. That was where Jordan Brand came from. But back in 2005 when this collab dropped, it was very difficult to get because there was only 72 pairs. And the only way to get them was at the Undefeated store. You had to enter a raffle, you had to buy a t-shirt, and then if you bought the t-shirt, you had a chance to maybe buy one of the 72 pairs. It was incredibly difficult. And since then, in the last 20 years, pairs of these have sold for literally $44,000. In the short that I made on my channel, and you might have seen it on my Instagram or TikTok at Real Seth Fowler, people were saying that's just, you know, the price that they have it set at. No, that was a sale price. $44,000 is how much a size 10 sold for in 2022, like recently. So the fact that Jordan Brand is bringing this shoe back out, a shoe that we never thought would ever come back, is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing in that people like myself and probably you who have always wanted this pair, now we have a chance to grab it for hopefully retail, and definitely less resale than before. And it's a bad thing because Jordan Brand is definitely only doing this because it's a cash grab. Like, let's be real. Like, there's no reason for them to bring shoes like this back, or the Wu-Tangs, because they weren't going to. I think they were just like, we need to revitalize our sales really quick, so let's drop this shoe. And I don't know if that's totally the case, but that would be my guess. And in order to kind of preserve the hype with the original release, they gave the retail pair the Nike Air branding on the back, and it's not a suede heel tab, it's actually just a regular TPU heel tab. So take that for what you will. That being said, I still love this sneaker. I did a full review on it, and if you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out through the link on the top of the screen. Probably one of my top 3 favorite releases of the entire year. I'll just lay it out for you guys. I think the Nigel Sylvester 4s, the Air Jordan 1 Bread 85s, and these are my top 3 of the year. I don't know which one's sneaker of the year yet. I have an idea, but I'm not gonna tell you guys. It's actually different than what you might think. But either way, this is up there for me, and it's one of the best releases of the year. I think they did this shoe justice. The suedes on the shoe are excellent. It's got almost all of the original details of the shoe except without dog tag, and comes in a regular box rather than that zip-up bag that it came in. But seriously, if you want to learn more about the shoe, which I definitely suggest, check out my review. Absolutely worth your time if you're interested in buying the shoe. As you probably could have guessed though, even though the shoe is retailing for $230, which is a lot of money, I think I said $225 in the review because no one really knew the retail price at that point. Now it seems like it is $230. It could be a $500 shoe. This shoe will instantly sell out. There was a release in Chicago over the weekend, like a very, very limited release. Pairs are reselling for like $800 to $1,000 right now. I bought my pair for way more than that. It is what it is. But when it officially releases at Undefeated on their website and in store this weekend, it's going to be probably one of the craziest drops of the entire year. Maybe the off-white ones returning will be similar level. But other than that, this is one of the biggest drops of the entire year, and it will absolutely sell out. If you think there's gonna be pairs sitting, that's crazy. That's not true. They're not gonna sit. I've seen YouTubers say that they are. They're not gonna sit, guys, come on. Continuing on to August 5th, we've got the Nike Ja 3 Light Snow. So I believe this is the first release of Ja Morant's third signature sneaker, the Ja 3. And from the interest that I've seen online, I feel like this shoe is going to be maybe not the same level as the AE1s, but definitely one of the more popular basketball sneakers out. This colorway of the shoe and possibly the other upcoming colorways of the shoe are gonna retail for $125, so it is still sort of in that budget range. It's not $110 like the AE1s, but obviously with tariffs and everything, prices have gone up across the board when it comes to imported products, so I wouldn't be surprised if $125 is just a standard price. This is also the first release of the shoe, so it could be a special edition. I'm not totally sure, but either way, this shoe comes in primarily white with some gray TPU overlays that kind of look like a claw mark, but also they feature these cool, like almost scales, kind of like the Kobe 6s. And then of course you've got Ja's name written on the side of the shoe in almost like a graffiti print. It's a very interesting and cool pair of sneakers that I think will absolutely resonate with the younger generation. I hate saying it like that because I feel like a younger generation, but I'm 33. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not middle-aged yet, but I'm somewhere in the middle. Actually, I'm looking at a closer image of this shoe, and it seems like the traction pattern of the sneaker and even like this TPU overlay that they've got going on that I called scales a second ago, it looks like they're all actually little Ja Morant logos, which is crazy. That's so cool. I can't believe there's so much detail in this shoe. I understand now why people are calling this potential sneaker of the year contender. I think that's crazy talk, but hey, the AE1 was basically almost sneaker of the year, so I think this could be in a similar vein to that. Let me know in the comment section down below whether you like the AE1s more or these more. Do you feel like Nike is finally getting their mojo back with the Nike basketball sneakers? Let me know in the comment section down below. I think it's hot. I think this first colorway is gonna sell out, and I'm honestly very excited about grabbing a pair to review for you guys. So yes, I think the Nike Ja 3s will end up selling out. Also dropping on the 5th, we've got the Nike Air Force 1 Low Terror Squad University Red. Out of all the Terror Squad AF1s that I've seen released, this one is probably the one that I'm most excited about. The red and white white colorway on this shoe just makes it feel a bit more exciting and a bit more like almost like a PE than some of the previous Terror Squad releases. I get that they were all kind of friends and family releases initially, but this one in particular, it's hot. Just like all of the other Terror Squad AF1s that have released recently, you've got the TS embroidered into the heel for Terror Squad, you've got a Nike Air branding detail on the tongue, and this particular colorway comes in red leather and white leather. And I really like the fact that the midsole and the outsole are actually separated. A lot of times with AF1s, you get like one color on the midsole and outsole, especially with, you know, triple white colorways, triple black colorways. Not all AF1s have dual colored midsoles, because that is obviously a more difficult process when it comes to molding, but I like that they did that with this shoe because it gives it a bit more of that edge, and I really dig that. Now this pair is gonna retail for $150, so it is significantly more expensive than a standard pair of AF1s, but honestly, it's clean, it's limited, and I do think that this pair will probably end up selling out. Next up, on August 7th, we've got a bunch of different colorways of the Nike Vomero Plus. This is a shoe that I have been incredibly excited for because this has the potential to be the most comfortable pair of Nike sneakers dropping this year. We'll have to wait and see what the Vomero Premiums are like, but the Vomero Pluses, yeah man, they're gonna be crazy soft. So this is one of Nike's latest running sneakers, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, Nike has sort of trimmed down their running line to 3 different main categories: the Structure, the Vomero, and the Pegasus, and each one of these categories has a standard version, a plus version, and a premium version. All the Pegasus ones are out. We've got the Pegasus 41, I think is what we're on, Pegasus Plus, and the Pegasus Premium, which is an insane shoe. I love that shoe. I can't believe I didn't drop a review on it, but love it. Vomero is gonna be the same thing. We've got the Vomero 18 already, which is very comfortable, but it's not as soft, in my opinion, as Pegasus Premium or even the original Nike Infinity Run 3s, which dropped like 3 years ago at this point. I still think that's a softer shoe underfoot. Structures are gonna be more of a stability shoe, so it's a bit different. All that being said, we've got the Vomero 18s already, but the Vomero Pluses drop on the 7th, and they actually feature a much softer cushioning setup. Now, it looks like it's a thicker shoe. It's really not. That's all kind of like just cushioning coming up on the side. However, they're using a softer foam underfoot, which makes it significantly softer underfoot. Now, there is a premium version coming out with like 2 air units, which I'm really excited to try. That could be the most comfortable shoe of the year. We'll have to wait and see. Only if you like max cushion. If you don't like max cushion, you're probably not gonna like any of these shoes. But either way, I think the Vomero Plus could be the most comfortable one because air units tend to make things a bit stiffer. I'm very excited about this shoe. It's coming out in like 5 different colorways. They're all fine. They're all running focused, so none of them are gonna be like super lifestyle friendly. Now, of course, because it is a more premium version of the Vomero 18, it's gonna be priced at a more premium price point of $180 versus the $150. And of course, the premiums, the actual premiums, are gonna probably be priced around $200 something, like the premium Pegasus. But either way, super clean shoe, very comfortable looking sneaker. I cannot wait to get a pair on foot, and hopefully I'm able to get a pair in next week. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, fire shoe. Definitely think it's worth picking up if you like max cushion, but I do think that this shoe will end up sitting on shelves. Continuing on to August 8th, we've got the Nike Air Max 95 Cool Gray Spark Blue. So based on images, it does look like this is the big bubble variant of the shoe, even though it's not specifically called out. Unlike the Air Max 1 big bubbles that were literally called the big bubbles, or the 86s, I think is what they ended up calling them. This one's just called the Air Max 95, but you know the big bubble versions from the regular versions because it has a seam through the middle of the air bubble. It should also be a slightly larger air bubble. But either way, we've only really gotten like 1 or 2 of those since the initial release of the shoe. I think the Levi's might have also been big bubbles too, not 100% sure. But either way, the original 95 neons still selling for like $350. Does not make sense to me, but it is what it is. This shoe comes in a gray and blue colorway with some black accents. I do think it's very wearable. It's pretty similar to the neons, except it's blue instead of neon. I don't know if people are as hyped on this shoe as they were with the neons because that was the OG colorway, but I do think that people will be excited about it, and I think it's gonna be somewhat limited. I don't know how limited, but probably not like super easy to get. And Air Maxes are just hot right now. So because of that, I think that this $190 shoe, yes, you heard that right, $190 pair of Air Maxes, I guess that's kind of the standard now, it just feels high. I think the shoe will probably sell out. Dropping again on August 9th, we've got the Air Jordan 40, the classic. This shoe already had a very limited release, I believe through the Nike app or the sneakers app or something like that. This of course is the brand new Air Jordan mainline sneaker. Unlike other recent Air Jordan releases like the 39s and the 38s, this shoe has transitioned back from the sort of engineered mesh and just like textile mesh uppers that they've been using for the last like almost 10 years at this point to a much more luxury focused design. You've got this really nice nubuck on the toe, you've got this white leather in the midfoot, and then some sort of like, I guess, synthetic nubuck around the top of the ankle area. But generally this mid to low top Air Jordan 40 is actually super clean. It's the first time in a long time that I've been excited about a new performance Jordan model. I also really love the splatter print in the heel tab. I think that's so sick. And the outsole, also pretty dope. Now my guess is that like some of the previous Air Jordan sneakers that they've dropped that were inspired by sneakers from years before, like the Air Jordan 31s through the 39s, this shoe could be inspired by the Air Jordan 10s, and you could definitely see that sort of color inspiration there. I don't know if it really goes past the color, at least maybe the shape too a little bit. I'm not totally sure. But either way, very, very cool. Definitely calling back to their roots a little bit. You've got this beautiful like leather on the back. It's not actually super nice leather, but it's got that vachetta tan color to it. I don't know. I'm really excited about this shoe. Not only that, they've also really increased the comfort of this sneaker. In addition to having a full-length Air Zoom Strobel, you've also got Zoom X, which makes me think that this shoe is going to be ridiculously comfortable underfoot. I'm going to talk about this shoe more in upcoming videos. I probably won't do a full review, but I do really, really like this sneaker. I'm very excited about it. And even for the $205 price point, which is kind of high, then again, it's also kind of in line with other Air Jordan sneakers. I think this is my favorite new performance Jordan model in a very, very long time. I actually think they killed it. I haven't tried the shoe on yet, but I'm excited to. There's a whole video coming on that, so please stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't yet, but either way, fire shoe. It's got a lot of hype behind it. I do think that this shoe will sell out when it releases to the public. Fittingly, dropping on August 12th, we've got the Air Jordan 12 French Blue. Originally thought to be some sort of variation on the French Blue colorway from 2004, it looks like they're actually just dropping a true one-to-one retro, which I'm all here for. I love the French Blue 12s. I think they're fire. You've got a white tumble leather upper, you've got a blue mud guard, and some other blue accents, and then of course some red hits and like the Jumpman and things like that. But it's an incredibly clean, very wearable pair of Air Jordan 12s. Now, if you guys know me, the 12s are not my favorite silhouette because they feel a bit boot-like, but as far as 12s go, I think the French Blues are like up there with probably the Flu Games and the Cherries, and that's probably the case for most of you guys as well. The French Blues are a super clean, super wearable colorway. I actually got a pair in the sneakers app back in what, 2016 when they last released, or maybe 2015. I don't remember exactly when they dropped. I think it was 2016. But my pair came with like glue on the sock liner of the shoe, and I asked to return it and get a different pair, and they're like, no, it's sold out. You get what you get. You can either return it and get a refund or just have it. And I decided to keep it, and I rocked it, and the glue rubbed against my ankle and it sucked, but it was a fire looking pair of shoes and it was worth the blister that I got. Now this time around, Air Jordan 12s are not as popular as they once were, but the Flu Games, as we saw with most other OG Air Jordan colorways, sold out. Now this is not an OG colorway of the Air Jordan 12s. It first dropped in 2004, but I do think because of the hype behind this colorway, it's been one of the most popular Air Jordan 12 colorways. Kind of like the Ferraris are not an OG colorway of the 14s, but it's one of the most popular 14 colorways. I think that this shoe will probably end up selling out. Then dropping on August 13th, we've got the New Balance 204L Timberwolf. So it seems like the next trend in footwear for people who are footwear savvy or sort of sneakerheads is low profile shoes. We've seen that with some Pumas recently, like that race inspired shoe, which I think released years ago, but is coming back in popularity. And now we're seeing that with New Balance with this brand new 204L silhouette. They really look like driving shoes. Like they basically have no midsole. Your foot's basically right on the ground. And you've got this upper, which is similar to a standard New Balance or running sneaker upper, but it comes in a much more sleek sort of aerodynamic shape. Is that a good way to say it? I mean, these are really just driving shoes. That's essentially what they are. They're driving shoes. I mean, we're not talking about cleats here. People are wearing cleats apparently in public. That's crazy. We're talking about driving shoes. I'm okay with driving shoes. So this is not the first colorway of the 204Ls to release. We had some Kith colorways, which have already dropped. And then we've got, I think, another colorway, which looks very similar to this, dropping the end of July, I believe, on New Balance's website. This one though comes in sort of a very light tan or cream color. Don't know where the Timberwolf inspiration came from. I thought Timberwolves were gray, but I really only know about Timberwolves through the Timberwolves logo. So, you know, I'm not the right person to ask. Either way, it comes in sort of a tannish gray leather upper. It's got a lot of paneling, which I dig. And then of course that super low profile midsole and outsole, very sleek looking, and it's priced at 110 bucks. So it's reasonably priced, which is exciting. I'm genuinely excited about grabbing a pair of these for myself. I really want to try out the 204Ls. The Puma pair was fine, but this one I actually really like the aesthetic of. So I might maybe grab the Kith pair. Maybe I'll grab them on StockX. If you guys want to grab any of these pairs for yourself, check them out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen, by the way. But this pair drops on August 13th for 110 bucks, and I think it might sell out. I think this might be a new series of sneakers that are going to be New Balance's most popular pairs. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case. Maybe they're ahead of the trend, maybe they're behind it, I don't know, but it's a cool looking pair of shoes, and I think the normies out there who are somewhat fashion focused, so not total normies, will be buying this shoe. So, I guess. Next up on August 15th, we've got the Nike Air Foamposite One cough drops. So for the first time in a long time, the cough drops are returning. I don't know if anyone was specifically asking for them, but they're back. And of course, they feature that graphite gray upper and this red semi-translucent midsole. Now, as we know, this entire month has been absolutely crazy in terms of sneaker releases, with almost every single pair selling out, at least in my opinion. However, I don't think this pair is going to be one of those pairs that sells out. One, because Foamposites are not as popular as they once were, and two, because they're expensive. Now the problem is I don't know how expensive they are because every single website that I've seen has them listed at a different price. One website says $230, another website says $235, one website says $240, and with all the tariff confusion, I don't know how much Nike is actually upping the price by, so assume between $230 and $240 if you're gonna buy a pair for yourself. That being said, I don't think the shoe is gonna sell out, so maybe try and grab a pair on StockX after the fact for well under resale. We'll have to wait and see. But hey, I'm giving this shoe a sit. After that, also releasing on the 15th, we've got yet another one of the most hyped up pairs of the year. It's crazy. Like I said, this month is absolutely nuts. We've got the Pharrell Adidas Adidas Jellyfish. This pair is one of the best looking new Adidas sneakers that I've seen in a very long time. I think Adidas is killing it, especially in like the lifestyle world. Like the Sambas are killing it, handballs are killing it, things like that. But this pair in particular, crazy. It kind of looks like a less ridiculous Balenciaga, and it's cheaper too. Now, not that much cheaper. It retails for $300, so it's still very expensive, but unfortunately Adidas is gonna run this shoe into the ground. But for the first couple colorways, I think this shoe is gonna be hot. So the Pharrell Adidas Adidas Jellyfish first comes in this black, orange, and white colorway. The design of the shoe is sort of this bulky, like tech runner vibe, which I actually really dig. You've got the Adidas 3 stripes on the side, and then these like almost like these veins that run down the side in orange and white. It's so dope looking, and it's so different. So Pharrell apparently debuted this for the first time in Paris Fashion Week. They released these crazy friends and family pairs with like this bag as the packaging. So cool. Tried to buy a pair. The guy canceled because the fees were too high or something. I don't know. But either way, I don't have a pair. But I will be getting a pair as soon as possible so I can give you guys a full review as soon as this shoe drops. It's crazy fire. But yeah, I think the hype for this shoe is off the charts. Like this shoe is up there in terms of Adidas hype. Probably more so than any other pair that they've dropped this year. I could be wrong. Maybe some of the Bad Bunnies. Maybe some of the, I don't know. I'm sure there's another collaboration that's up there too. But this one's been leaked for probably about 6 months. And I do think the hype is just going to be insane. So even though this is a $300 shoe, I think the sneaker is absolutely gonna sell out. Moving on to August 16th, we've got 2 more absolute banger releases, the first of which is the Awake NY Air Jordan 5 Arctic Pink. Now this shoe is only rumored to drop on this day. I've seen a lot of places say that it's gonna drop on this day, but it's very possible that the release gets pushed or something like that. This is the pink colorway of the Awake NY Air Jordan 5 collaboration. There are 2 colorways. The second one is slated to drop later in the month. We'll talk about that in a bit. But this colorway is apparently the much more limited and much more difficult to get pair. From what I've heard, there's only 7,000 pairs of these in existence. Now I think that came from the founder of Undefeated from his Instagram or something like that. It came from some actually pretty reliable source. So I think that this pink colorway might only be available through like Awake NY and possibly like a crazy sneakers drop or something like that, but this will most likely be the more difficult pair to get. So this pair looks almost like a Fire Red 5, except instead of a white upper, it's got a pink upper. Now there are some details on this shoe that definitely differentiate it from a standard pair of Fire Red 5s. The first of which is the NY branding embroidered into the heel, and the second and most obvious difference is the giant A logo that's actually made up of mesh, which is crazy. I think this is the first time that I've really seen Jordan Brand allow someone to not change the actual shape of the mesh, but change the shape of the mesh window, or I guess the netting window. And the A is kind of dope. Like it's a really interesting looking pair of shoes. It reminds me of something that Supreme would have done if they could have done this back in the day. Like the camo Supreme 5s were pretty cool, but this is different. Now I understand that this pair might not be for everybody. I get that people probably don't like this shoe. I've seen a good amount of hate online for this shoe, probably 50-50 hate and love. I think the shoe is fire personally, but it's definitely a polarizing pair. Now as far as retail price, from what I'm seeing, this pink colorway is going to be a bit more expensive than the black colorway. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it's because of the material that they used. It looks like they used some sort of leather or maybe even like smooth fabric or reflective material on the upper. I'm not totally sure, but it's going to retail for $225, and like I said, going to be stupid limited. So even if you don't love the aesthetic of this shoe, the hype is going to be there absolutely, and I definitely think this shoe is going to sell out very, very quickly. Now the question is the hype for the Awake NY Air Jordan 5s going to overshadow the hype for the other shoe dropping on this day? And that pair is the Nigel Sylvester Air Jordan 1 Low Better With Time. Nigel Sylvester has been leaking this shoe for the last like year. We thought this shoe was gonna be a friends and family pair, but turns out we're actually getting a public release. And I'm so happy that we are, because this shoe might be my favorite pair of Nigel Sylvesters. I know the 4s are dope, I get that. And I know the 1s were cool. Like I met Nigel Sylvester back when those 1s first came out because I won a raffle for the Kith drop. That was cool. I like that pair, but this one, this is clean. Now by the time you guys are watching this video, I've already dropped a full review on this shoe. Of course, I will leave a link on the top of the screen or in the description below if you guys want to learn more about it. And also, if you guys want to grab this shoe for yourself through resale sites, I've made sure to leave links through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. But this pair comes in a black leather upper with, well, it looks like a Nike swoosh that's been removed and then printed back on in cream. You've got the mini embroidered Nike swoosh towards the toe, and then a more standard Nike swoosh on the medial side. You've also got this printed Air logo on the back, which I dig. Now, like the original Air Jordan 1 Nigel Sylvesters, these shoes feature those scuffed details like the pair that released back in 2018, I think. And that shoe was designed to look like he biked in it for a while and then he sold it. So that's the same sort of vibe that you get here. There's a scuff around the toe and on the heel. Very cool look. And then the insole actually says Nigel Sylvester, or at least the insole on this shoe. I haven't checked the other one yet. But it comes with a cream tongue, which is fire, a cream midsole, and then an outsole that's designed to look pre-aged, but it's red. This shoe is crazy hot. You've got bike air on the tongue. I love it. I love this shoe so much. The box itself too. Look at that. So dope. Like, it says Bike Air on the front, or Bike. Man, he absolutely is one of the best collaborators that Jordan Brand has at the moment, killing it like crazy, and this shoe is no exception. Now, this Better With Time Nigel Sylvester Air Jordan 1 Low is gonna release for a retail price of $165. And while yes, I am saying that the release date is August 16th, I've seen conflicting reports. I've seen August 2nd, which I don't think is gonna be the case. I don't know why Jordan Brand would release the Undefeateds on the same day as the Nigel Sylvesters. I feel like that's a crazy, I wouldn't say conflict, but crazy like competition, because this pair is one of the most hyped up pairs of the year. This one is up there as well. The Awakes, like I said, I'm not sure if that's gonna be the release date either, and they're also gonna be crazy limited, so it's possible that if these drop and those drop, it's not as big of a deal because no one's getting the Awakes anyway. This one's gonna be more widely available, but still limited. So with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if these end up dropping on the 16th. I think that's when they will drop. I think the more likely shoe to get pushed is the Awakes, but we'll have to wait and see. $165, decent price. This pair will definitely sell out, so check out my review. Moving on to August 20th, we've got another colorway of the Air Jordan 40s. This time it's the blue suede colorway. This pair looks very similar to the original, or I guess the classic. It's got blue suede on the upper instead of white leather, maybe some minor color differences, but generally it's a pretty similar looking shoe. Probably for people who couldn't get the original pair. It's fine, it's $205, same deal, but I think this will be the more widely available pair, and because of that, I think the shoe's gonna sit. Also releasing on August 20th, we've got the Adidas Climacool 4D Laced in Glory Gray. This pair is the second colorway of the Climacool 4D Laced, which released I think earlier this year. It's a almost fully 3D printed pair of shoes. It's the laced version, or I guess the tongue version, of the standard Adidas 4D Climacool, which is actually a fully 3D printed pair of shoes. Very cool looking pair of sneakers, but there's some things about it that I don't love. This version does solve some of those problems because it adds a regular tongue to a 3D printed shoe. The original laced colorway actually didn't sell out, or maybe it did, but then they restocked it, so there's still pairs available on the website. Weirdly enough, they only come in half sizes. They don't come in like 9, 10, 11. They come in 9.5, 10.5, 11.5, which is odd. That being said, I do think that they recommend going up a half size. So for me, 9.5 is the size that I bought. I haven't tried it yet because it hasn't come in yet, but I'm excited about trying the laced version of the shoe. This is the exact same thing, except instead of tan, you get gray. So it's a gray and black pair of sneakers. It's $160. Similar vibe. If you're looking for a fully 3D printed pair of shoes from Adidas specifically, then this is not a bad way to go. Although it's not fully 3D printed because it's got a tongue. The fully 3D printed one is harder to get on, but it looks cooler, in my opinion. Hey, either way, you can still buy pairs of the tan colorway, so with this gray colorway not looking as good, IMO, I think this pair is gonna sit. Then dropping on August 22nd, we've got the Nike SB Air Max 95 Cactus Flower. So this is the latest Nike SB collaboration, I guess. Although it's not really a collaboration the same way that the Nike SB Air Jordan was a collaboration, because those are technically two different companies in the same company. Although I guess the Air Max line is probably not usually worked on by Nike SB, so maybe it is sort of a collaboration. Either way, this is a Nike SB Air Max 95, and it comes in this really interesting white, gray, black, and pink colorway with the gum outsole. Now, of course, being a Nike SB standing for either skateboarding or Sandy Bodecker, no one really knows for sure, although I do think it's skateboarding, personally, but hey. This shoe is technically a skate-focused pair of Air Max 95s. I'm sure there are details on this shoe that differentiate it from the standard pair of Air Max 95 Neons. You, of course, have the gum outsole, which seems to be the case for all of the SB collaborations, which is not a bad thing, at least all of the recent ones. And the main hits of color that can be found on the shoe are sort of in the same place as the Neons. You've got the lace loops, which come in this cactus flower pink, and then rounding off the heel, you've got these pink pillars within the air bubble, which add another little subtle hit of pink, which I dig. Super clean looking pair of shoes. I think it's a big bubble Air Max 95. I think I've seen some images with the seam and then other images without, so I really don't know which version it's gonna be. Weirdly enough, like you'd think they'd both have the same thing, but I've seen some with the seam, which means that they're a big bubble, and some without, so who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Actually, I'm gonna solve this problem right now. We're gonna figure it out right now. So apparently they are listed on the Nike Sneakers app, so we've got official images of the shoe, and it looks like they actually do not have the seam. So this is not a big bubble Air Max 95. This is, well, I guess you could say standard pair of Air Max 95s with the smaller bubble, but of course it's also a Nike SB collaboration. Either way though, this shoe is retailing for $185, which is $5 cheaper than the big bubble that we talked about earlier, but the hype for this shoe is gonna be off the charts, so I definitely think that this Nike SB Air Max 95 will absolutely sell out. Moving on to August 23rd, we've got the Nike Kobe 3 Protro Halo. Nike is continuing their Kobe Halo theme with all white pairs of Kobe's that are coming back as Protros. This is actually the first time that we're getting a Kobe 3 Protro, which I'm really excited about. I think the last, maybe I'm wrong about this, let me know in the comments, but I think the last time we got a Kobe 3 might have been, was it the Fade to Black pack, or was there one in between? I don't know, I think it was the Fade to Blacks, but I could be wrong. Either way, all white, at least from what I can tell from the images. It features a black hang tag with the gold Nike swoosh. Dope pair of shoes, $210, so it's not cheap, but I do think it's a dope pair to pick up if you're a Kobe fan or if you've never tried the Kobe 3s. Apparently it's coming back on the 23rd, and of course, because it's a Halo shoe, it's probably gonna be pretty limited. Probably not impossible to get, but also not super easy to get. And I also don't think it's gonna be as popular as some of the other Halos just because it's not as popular of a silhouette, but I do think there's Kobe fans out there who absolutely want this pair. So because of all that, giving this shoe a sell. Also dropping on August 23rd, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Shattered Backboard 2025s. This shoe is releasing around the 10th anniversary of the original Shattered Backboard Air Jordan 1s, and it's actually the first retro of the shoe. Now, since that shoe first released back in 2015, we've gotten different versions of it. We've got the 2.0s and the 3.0s. 2.0s were fire, the 3.0s were sort of a weird, almost like cling wrap situation, but it was fine. This shoe though looks just like the original 1.0s, but doesn't feature the same leather quality. It's fine, it feels like a standard pair of Air Jordan 1s, but it's nothing special. It's not Shattered Backboard quality, if you will. I've done a full review on this shoe. I actually did multiple videos on this shoe. Some people loved them, some people hated them. It is what it is, but it's coming back. It's $185, so it's not cheap. I do think if you like the original colorway, you weren't able to grab it, or you just like the way that it looks, sure, pick it up. But if you're expecting that super nice buttery leather, yeah, it's not the same. As someone who already owns the original Shattered Backboards, I really don't feel the need to grab this shoe because the originals were just so much better in my opinion. Plus, the new orange that they use is a deeper orange. Like, it's a more reddy orange, which is fine. It just feels, dude, it feels, you know what's crazy to say? It feels artificial. Like, you look at Ryan Trahan's no artificial coloring candies, and then you see like Skittles, and the difference is like night and day. It's similar to that, where it feels like the original is like this clean, classic, premium feeling shoe with this beautiful orangey leather, and then the new ones are like this artificial remade. I need to stop hating on them. They're fine. They're fine. If you guys like them, grab them. I think they'll sell out. Well, actually, do I? The UNCs didn't sell out, and the Black Toes didn't sell out. I think these are gonna sit. Is that crazy to say? I think these might sit. They might sell out on the sneakers app, but I think in stores, you can walk into your local Foot Locker and at least find a couple different sizes. It's not gonna, okay, here's what I'll say. It's a sit, but it's a mostly sell sit. Is that, can we do that? I don't know. I guess it's my series, I can do whatever I want. I'm giving this shoe a sit. Continuing on to August 29th, we've got probably my favorite shoe release of the absolute entire year, probably lasts like 5 years. And that, of course, as you may have guessed, is the Apothecary 3D Mule. So for those of you that don't know, maybe you're watching this channel for the first time, because I shout out my sock brand constantly. Apothecary is my sock brand that I co-founded back in 2020. And officially on August 29th, we are dropping our first 3D printed mule with Zellerfeld. You'd never guess if you haven't tried on 3D printed shoes before, but this shoe feels like super soft foam. It's wild, it feels like React almost. The best comparison that I have is probably a Yeezy Slide. And I've heard that from a lot of different people. And I'm not just saying that because it's my shoe. Just Zellerfeld in general makes really, really soft shoes. Of course, I'm gonna say that mine's the softest because it's mine, but they're all the same material, and this shoe is incredibly soft on foot. Plus, it's a mule, which makes it perfect for lounging around the house or wearing out. I've worn all of my pairs so many times. This black pair doesn't look beat on camera, but it's kind of beat, although the 3D printed material holds up really well. The blue pair, haven't worn as much, but I still love it. There's a cream pair that I have that's outside that is trash. Like, I wore that pair for 3 months straight while we were developing the shoe. Trash is in like it's very dark brown now because it basically got run through the mud and worn, and it's still very wearable, but it's a different color basically. That being said, if you've never tried out a 3D printed pair of shoes before, try out the new Apothecary 3D printed mules. It's my shoe. It's crazy. This is the first time that I've ever released a 3D printed shoe, and as someone who loves 3D printing, this is super, super cool. We're dropping like 5 different colorways. We've got black, we've got oat, we've got blue, we've got red, and we've got orange. The red, the blue, and the orange colorways are actually very limited, like super, super limited. We're releasing them in like waves basically because 3D printing takes a long time. So as much as I'd like to release a bunch all at once, we're releasing as many as we can initially, and then we'll see what happens after that. But the black and the oat colorway will be by far the most available because in my opinion, I think they're the best like everyday colorways, but you can also get the blue, the orange, and the red, but they're like stupid limited. So just keep that in mind when you're grabbing a pair of these. I think these fit true to size. When it comes to retail price, they're going for 150 bucks. That is the absolute cheapest that we could make them. We're like, hey, how cheap can we make these so that you guys can actually grab them? And 150 bucks is the answer. So 150 bucks, fully 3D printed pair of shoes, incredibly comfortable. Like look at that. It's like, it feels like foam. It's nuts. So if you want to try out a fully 3D printed pair of shoes, in my opinion, the most comfortable 3D printed pair of shoes. I know we just talked about the Adidas, but they do not hold a candle to Zellerfeld. It's like a whole different world with this shoe. So check it out. If you support Apothecary, I'd really appreciate it. 150 bucks. And like I said, it's not going to be a huge quantity releasing initially because we have to print a bunch of them. In my opinion, I think they're going to sell out. Hit up the website right at 11 a.m. Eastern time at apothecary.com because that's when they're dropping, and I think they're gonna fly. I will also be doing a live stream when they drop, so stay tuned for that. And then we're also doing an in-store activation. So to give it a rating, I think the Apothecary 3D Mule by Zellerfeld will sell out. On the next day, August 30th, we're actually doing an in-store activation at Takeout NY in the Bronx where you can buy pairs in person. Again, super limited quantity there just because it takes a while to print them. And we just started printing recently because the design is finally finished. So if you wanna grab a pair in person and get them like immediately, stop by Takeout NY in the Bronx because I'm gonna be there, Osman's gonna be there, we're gonna have pairs, and it's it's gonna be crazy. So if you wanna grab a pair of these, support the brand, and also say what's up, come through Takeout NY in the Bronx on Saturday, August 30th. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. Also dropping on August 30th, actually also in New York, we've got the Awake NY Air Jordan 5s in black and racer blue. It's basically the same exact shoe as the pink one that's releasing earlier in the month, except it comes in like a black suede upper with blue accents. Of course, it's still got the NY branding on the heel and the Awake A logo, and it's retailing for less, I believe. I think it's dropping for $210. Most likely this pair will be a lot more available than the pink pair, and even though I've seen like mixed reviews about this pair online, I do think that it will end up selling out because Air Jordan 5s are hot, especially Air Jordan 5 collaborations. So I think the shoe's gonna sell. But hey, with all that being said, August is probably the best sneaker release month I've ever seen. I know March was crazy, and I think this is probably around the same craziness, if not a bit more than March. We've got so many insane releases. I'm even dropping my own shoe in August. It's gonna be crazy. Let me know your favorite shoe in the comment section down below. Again, check out the upcoming Apothecary 3D Mule dropping on August 29th at 11 a.m. Eastern time on apothecary.com, and also check out the in-store activation at Takeout NY on the 30th. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.